You want to do one flip or 10 flips, but make the same amount of money with one versus 10? Well, this video, we're going to talk to Troy Rawlings and explore how he is doing this on this awesome property on Princeton Ave in Salt Lake City. And we're going to learn a little bit more about his story and the strategies that have worked for him. So, Troy, thanks so much for sharing your secrets here with us today.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you so much for taking your time to interview me.
How long have we known each other? It was our first deal we did together was probably 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was that property over on West
Temple
Temple that you bought multiple properties from one owner, and I happened to buy one of them. And since then we've hit it off, and I found out that you did hard money, and I was like, well, tell me a little bit about hard money. How does it work?
Now, so if I remember right, I can't remember how we initially connected. Maybe you called because I had it listed.
Yes.
And maybe you found value out of this after, but in a lot of these videos I talked about, like people are always like, where do I get started? And I say, one of the biggest thing about getting started is networking. Because if I remember right, I then invited you to go to the RIA meeting.
Correct.
Either right after or before, but then you started coming to some of the RIAs, and maybe you could talk about some of that later, not right now, but like how maybe that increased network being among other real estate investors either helped give you ideas or connected to deals or something like that. But you jumped right in and you took action to jump in and get involved in network on some of the other deals and stuff like that. And so I thought that was really huge, because so then we've gotten to know each other better because we were around each other in these other groups that we were networking with and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, at that time when I bought that property from you, I think it was like 2018 or 2019.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And I think I was on my third property, but I was kind of siloed. I didn't know what was going on in like the greater Salt Lake City market. And it's just like, how can I grow as an individual and continue doing what I want to do that I enjoy? And like you proposed the Slaria, and like just going to the Slaria, I could meet other people, other house flippers, and who are they using for subcontractors? And just getting a lot of recommendations and hiring people from that to like help me do new jobs, get work done. And then, the hard money, came along and learned about that. And I started leveraging it. And I think maybe at one time I had $900,000 out to you. That was a very stressful time in my life.
Well, let's back it up then. So at the time you're full-time. Well, let's back up, but come forward for a minute. You don't have a W-2 job right now. Nope. Back then though, you did.
I did, yes.
If I remember right. Yep. So where did you kind of start, and then what got you interested at first in buying rentals or whatever it was?
Well, my wife and I, we lived out in Washington, D.C. for 7-8 years. Okay. And some of our friends, they're buying up houses on like the east side of DC, and I saw what they were doing, and it's like, I want to do that. So when we moved back, I just saw that the land costs and the property values are much cheaper. And it's like, yes, I can do this, right? And I wanted an option to generate passive income. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy rentals. So my wife and I, we saved up $80,000 and we bought our first rental in 2015.
Oh, perfect time.
And then
but you're working a W-2 job then?
Working a W-2 job.
Yep.
And I was working at Rio Tinto. I'm really good wage, salary. And like when I bought the rentals, still going to work, I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to be at the mine site at 6 o'clock for line out. And I'd work till 6, 7 o'clock at night. And then I would go straight to the apartment and renovate.
Oh my gosh.
And renovate, do everything on my own. I was completely exhausted. And we had a newborn. So it's like my wife also has a W-2 job. So she like managing the household at the same time. So it's not easy work having a full-time job and doing real estate.
Why did you, because this maybe thread will come through to how you finish this project, but was it the thought process at the time of like, well, I'm handy enough, I can do this, plus I'm going to save money? Or why didn't you immediately hire people to do that remodel instead of you doing it at night?
I guess we could take it back. Like when I was in college and high school, I worked for a general contractor.
Okay.
And I learned a lot of the tricks of the trade, so to say. And I'm like, I can do this, right? So it's like I owned a house in DC that I renovated, and like I had all of the skill set to like do it myself. But like, and also I didn't have any money to like pay people to do the work.
So you really needed to hack this one out.
Sure.
Because your 80 grand was probably enough to just get the down payment needed for the loan. And so, okay, so that started it. And then you probably could see the equity build and the rent coming in, covering your payment. You and your wife are still making money on the W-2, saving a little extra money, kind of compounding the returns a little bit. And so then you bought another one?
I bought the next one was a fourplex over by Liberty Park. And the strategy there is like the first duplex I bought still in Liberty Park, 9th and 9th area. We bought that, renovated it, and rented it out. And then after about a year, we built a little bit of equity, went back to the bank, did a cash out refi, pulled out maybe $40,000, $50,000. And then like we had continued to save to the side. So we ended up buying a fourplex for about $330,000 in 2018.
9th and 9th
or
area?
2017, I believe.
That's worth like 1.2 right now.
I mean, it fluctuates.
Yeah.
It fluctates.
And then we got to pause for a minute though. 2018. We're in 2024. That's 6 years.
6 years ago. Yep.
Let's just round. You have $1 million in equity in that property.
I would
close to it.
900
a million.
I would say 700.
For you real estate investors starting, how long would it take you to save with your W-2 job $1 million in 6 years?
A lifetime.
A lifetime.
A lifetime.
Okay, yes. So how cool is buying and owning real estate? Yes, there's luck and timing and whatever, but just getting into it and letting time create that value for you, that's pretty awesome.
But I've learned that real estate is not easy. Like you're going to have to want to work and work hard and through blood, sweat, and tears to be successful. And like, don't give up. I mean, some days are going to be challenging, but keep your head focused.
Well, and to pause on that, how encouraging is it? And we'll talk about some of your frustrations with this one and some of your other projects. But for me too, when I go back and look, well, wait, the world's not coming to an end here. Yes, this is hard, but this is worth it because look at what I've already done and look at the value that's been created. This is just a moment in time where that value, that future value is going to be good. Mm-hmm. So this is worth sticking with it and sticking with my plan.
Correct. And in my plan in real estate, I learned that you can buy as many rentals as you want, and you might scrape $300, $500 cash flow per door per month, whatever that number is. But in the long run, I think that all that cash flow you make goes back into the property.
I could not agree more. So say that one more time so it drills down.
All your cash flow that you make just goes back into the property.
Until your loans are paid off.
Until the loans are paid off. And
what you've done is you've then used it as not in a reckless way, but you've used it as an ATM to tap the equity later on to create more value with other properties.
And that's the value of real estate, is that you're not going to make money off the cash flow. You make money from the equity that you can learn to leverage with the banks, with the hard money lenders to go after more projects.
Well, and the end game is ultimately that cash flow will be there because you can either convert all your equity in your rentals to cash that then can earn a return. Maybe you lend it out, or you just, at some point you'll have enough assets where you can rearrange your debt so that you actually do have the cash flow coming in to live off of it. That's what you want to do.
Yep.
Okay, so your mind's now going, you're still working the W-2 job. You're like, man, this has been pretty good. We're making some, now I can see how I can pull equity out of this, equity out of that. When did you do something different versus just buy and hold?
It was in 2020.
So just 4 years ago.
4 years ago, I took I did another cash out refi from the fourplex that I bought by Liberty Park. And I took $100,000 out. And I was like, I want to do a tear down rebuild.
And are you still doing your W2 job now?
No.
Okay, so you decided I can make this work in real estate.
Correct. In 2020, shortly after COVID, I stopped my W2 job.
You stopped your W2 job. What was that like? I mean, still a little nervous? Because that was like a comfort blanket knowing you got money coming in.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm fortunate to have a wife that has a good W2 to keep the household operations going.
Got it. And again,
but yes, it's stressful. Like we as a family, we had to make adjustments in our lifestyle.
So does your wife still work then?
She still works.
Okay, great. Yeah, great. But so many people want to just quit their job right away and start doing real estate investing. But your story's a good one. Like double dip, it's going to be stressful and hard, but double dip as long as you can until you've proven that you're, I mean, I guess if you're feeling like just go for it and you have enough confidence, do it. But if you want to kind of like, I guess your lesson is though, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to burn the candle at both ends for a little bit of time until you get the momentum on the new gig.
Correct. Yeah. And I think if you have a W-2 job and you're wanting to work in real estate, it's advantageous because it's easier for you to qualify for a loan.
100%.
Having a W-2. So
because if you had started and quit from day one, you would not have been able to get those loans until you've proven. That's why a lot of people start flipping first, is because that generates the cash and the proven tax return after a couple years, that then you can start qualifying for loans that you can buy and hold. Whereas you went at it building wealth first by buying and leveraging your credit and your W-2 income to qualify, to the point where then it's like, oh, now I have runway where I can quit this thing, establish a new tax return, because I've got momentum. Okay, that's really important.
So to continue that story, I took out $100,000 from the fourplex, and 3 doors down from the fourplex was an old decrepit house. And I knocked on the door and I wrote on a piece of paper, like my name and my phone number and how much I would offer those people. And the guy's like yelling at me saying like, no soliciting, we're not taking anything. And the wife is standing behind him in the door, like, how much? And I'm like, I say a number and she's like quite surprised with it. But then like the next week, the earthquake happened.
Oh yeah.
And part of the house fell over. So they called me and said that they would like to reconsider my offer. So I ended up buying that house.
No way. So some of it's just luck of timing and circumstances, but also you never would have had that chance if you weren't just proactive.
Yeah, I mean, knocking on doors, it's a challenging job.
Yeah.
If a lot of people feel uncomfortable with talking with other people, but I think the more doors you knock on, the more successful you will be.
All right, you got to say that one more time.
the more doors you knock on, the more successful you'll be.
And I think the same would be true as if you don't want to knock doors, the more houses you offer on that are listed on the MLS, the better chance you're going to have to get one.
Yep. And it comes down to like networking, that when I talk to people in real estate and I find out what they're doing, whether they are wholesalers or they're just like silent door knockers, and they want to make like a commission or something, like they'll go out and find the properties for you. So find people to do the work for you and reward them with, a finder's fee or some sort of commission.
You got to pay them, but you already start knowing what it is you're looking for. And then, anybody likes a target. If they don't have a target of what they're kind of looking for you, it makes it a lot harder to know what they're looking for or what you're going to find. So, giving them clear direction on these are the kind of properties I'm looking for.
Yeah. So, I talk to developers frequently and, they're always prowling the market, trying to find good deals, bad deals, whatever. And like, if they get something that doesn't work for them, they're calling me up like, hey, you might be interested in this opportunity.
That is so true. When I was at the business school up at the U, one of the professors, it probably wasn't his quote, but, horses for courses. Everybody's running the race the way that their horse is set up to do it, or whatever analogy. And there could be an obvious deal that would work for you, but for this other person that just for whatever reason doesn't fit into their box.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, the more people you know, the better chance, one, you might find a deal for them or they might find a deal for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's
reciprocal.
That is so cool. So let's interject. You're now a real estate agent as well.
Licensed real estate agent.
When did you decide to get your license and why?
I think primarily since I have rentals and I have tenants, and those tenants, some of them make really good income. After a couple of years, seeing these people cycle through and hire a real estate agent to help them find a house, I'm just like, I'm leaving money on the table. And I was like, but it's not necessarily about money. It's more like relationship. You already have a relationship established with your tenants, and it's just like, how can I help them more? Like I don't want them renting from me forever. Like I want them to like buy a house. I encourage them to get into real estate so they can build equity for themselves.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to get a real estate license so I can help tenants, start buying properties.
What was the unintended positive consequence of that, maybe, by having your license? Well, I don't know. Like for me, I guess what I was leading you on to confirm, how much more valuable was it when you could control the data yourself as far as the market data and knowing what comps really are and seeing the nuances of the market?
I mean, there's definitely advantages for having your license above and beyond just helping people buy real estate. Yeah. I mean, for like yourself, as example, like I didn't have to like call my real estate agent all the time, bother them at all hours of the night. I could just like go directly to the MLS, look up comps. I can get access to property to like look at the properties when I want.
Yeah. And it's good little extra money where you're adding value to someone else by doing a good job to help find them a house or sell their house or whatever. Okay, cool. So let's pick it back up where you're at, and ultimately we're going to live to what your current strategy is, knowing that your strategy's always changed. But the teaser to this was, do one instead of doing 10 and maybe make the same amount of money. So you kind of progress where I helped you on a couple flips. I remember the Sycamore one, and it was like kind of brain damage for you a little bit. It's like, oh man. And then I can't remember. That one didn't turn out all that great.
I know it was a successful project.
Yeah.
Beautiful house, really nice neighborhood. But with all flips, old houses, there's a lot of unknowns. I've done one flip. That was my one flip at Sycamore. And it was just so many unknowns, over budget, lots of headache. And, I sold it. I made money, maybe, I don't know, $60,000, $75,000 in 8 months, 9 months of work. But at that time, I still had a W-2 job.
Okay, so that was still early on. Okay.
That was early on. And then I finished that project, and I was like, okay, I think I can endure something else like that. But then after networking with people and other house flippers and touring projects with them and seeing like the challenges they're having, it's just like, okay, how many houses are you flipping? And he's like, they got like 5-10 houses going at once, and it just seems that they're over leveraged, they're stressed out,
and you're geographically driving from here and there, and
they're just taking deals to have a deal.
Yep.
And I just thought that, no, wait a minute, like, why are you doing all that? Like, there's no need to. You could just focus on like one good project at a time, maybe two, depending on your skill set and how much stress, like what stress level can you incur.
Yep. Well, and that goes a little bit. I just following you and becoming friends. I see your lifestyle is about, I think, adventure and experiences.
Yep.
You're always seems like you're going somewhere cool with your family, or skiing or mountain biking or something like that. And sometimes the more projects you have, those become those leashes that keep you back from. I know it does it
definitely takes it away, and it's like you only live once, and time is the most valuable thing in the world. And so it's like, do you want to be working that hard and always stressed out, or do you want to be like adventuring and travel? Like, yeah, you can do both. You got to balance it out. And my tidbit is like, everybody knows Bigger Pockets podcast, but Brandon Turner, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started listening to that podcast. And within that, his golden nugget was like, you know, every project that I finish out, I reward my family with a vacation.
Oh, that's cool.
So
That's
it's like
awesome.
to do something memorable, because I like put my time and my effort into it. I want to like, you know, give back.
Because the dollars mean something, but they don't mean as much as that awesome trip to Iceland or wherever you go,
Sure.
you know, or whatever it is that gets you excited. Well, that's a really good trip. And, you know, there's so much of philosophy and lifestyle in real estate. And what I like about you is you seem to kind of know what you want, like
Mhm.
in life.
Mhm.
Then that kind of directs how you want to make money in real estate, how that can also complement your lifestyle. So so then your mind shift kind of changed a little bit to this, like, well, let's see if I can do one bigger deal instead of all these little ones that have all these complexities of, you know, the older houses and stuff like this. And I know I've done videos with people where they're like, it fits their lifestyle to flip in volume, which is
Right.
great because you can do it,
They're
right?
high energy individuals. And,
Yep.
you know, they can manage people like all over the place. That's great. Like that's a talent.
So you've kind of become like a little bit of a surgical real estate expert in, and even though you haven't done a lot of them, but talk about how you got started with this concept of, well, let's maybe just tear down old houses in awesome neighborhoods and build something brand new.
Yeah. So I'll reverse a little bit. When I took the $100,000 out from the fourplex, I bought the house. I tore that house down, and that was on like 500 East, kind of a busy street, not an ideal lot, not an ideal neighborhood. Hired a contractor because I had never like torn down something and rebuilt it. So it's just like, I'm going to leverage the contractor to like get educated on the process from like beginning to end. So work with that contractor. That project took us like 2 years.
Yeah.
Learned a lot from it. And I'm like, okay, you know, I sold it at like the peak of the market, like very fortunate, very lucky. And just about the time that I sold that house, a friend of mine through real estate, he actually
So to back up though, and to complete, because we kind of distract a little bit, what was intended to be a flip with the house because of the earthquake that had some damage to the walls, then became an idea of like, forget fixing this thing up.
Yeah.
Let's just continue the demo.
Yeah. I mean, I had a structural engineer
take it all down.
I had a structural engineer look at the foundation. They're like, yeah, it'll be like $60,000 to fix. And I was like, no, just tear it down.
Yeah, just keep going.
Just tear it down. So we tore it down, built like
what was it, 40,000 or 4,000 square feet?
It was like 3,200 square feet. It was
give the quick numbers on that. You bought the lot.
I bought the lot for $220,000. The build was, I would say, 7. Soft costs, you're in about 8. Sold it for 127.
Yeah, so you squeaked out a little bit.
Squeaked out a little bit on that, but it was a 2-year project.
Yeah, so really, relative, your return given the time was not great.
Was not great.
But your learning experience was amazing.
Yeah, I mean that was. I mean, it was great to get paid that much money to be educated.
Yeah, it's better than having to pay.
So right about the time I sold that house, a friend of mine who prospected me to buy one of my properties. You know, we'd known each other for 2 or 3 years, and he's like constantly like, you know, browsing the market to see what he could find. And he lived a couple doors down from here, and he'd been talking with this family for like a year. And when the time came and the family wanted to sell it, he wasn't in position to buy it. So he called me up and he's like, hey, Troy, I have something for you. I was like, what is it? It's like Princeton Avenue. I was like, sign me up.
Well, I got to pause because the inverse happened with you and I like 8-9 months ago.
Right.
You had a client that had a house that you at the moment
wanted to buy.
That you felt like you maybe weren't in the spot to do it. And I needed a house at the moment. And so I'm like, well, I'll do it. And then you're like, okay. And then you're like, wait, I should have done that one, you know?
And it was a good lot too. It was like wide, it was long. It would have fit the same dimensions.
That's
as
true.
this
And
house.
I didn't even think about that. We ended up flipping it. We did a video on it and shared our before and after numbers, and it turned out really well.
Turned out beautiful.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Congrats.
So we're sitting right here with the kitchen to this home in the background on the lot that you just mentioned on Princeton Ave.
Yep.
So you bought this house and tore it down.
Yeah, it's 1005 East Princeton Avenue. It was an old 800 square foot house that was built in like 1910. And like, I thought about, well, what if I just expand on it and remodel the existing house? And just like, nah, numbers don't pencil. And it looked funky too, like got some like modern design with this old box in the front. It's like, nah, we're gonna tear it down. So I worked with the architect to design like a modern Scandinavian
and
barn-ish.
We're going to show
style.
the video right now of what you ended up with and kind of your design.
And I, bought it in say November of 2022, and then tore it down April 2023.
So just a year ago.
Little over a year ago, April 2023, tore it down, poured the footings and foundation in like May of 2023. And then we finished it like 2 weeks ago.
So what were the strategic advantages now that you realize that maybe you didn't at the time? Because this house is cool, as you'll see from the video, is the front is right on Princeton, but this neighborhood lucked out because there's an alley that crosses the back adjoining yards of most of these streets. So it allowed you to do a detached garage.
Yes.
And so that you could access, and with an apartment in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just looked at the land as like, how can I maximize the value of this land? And I was like, okay, let's do a 2-story, no basement, concrete floors, and then let's build an ADU and provide that option to the buyer to like have it as flex space, whether they want to rent it out, they want to turn it into a guest room, whatever they choose.
No, it's super cool. And let's drill down about your strategy. Would you have done this same strategy, say, out in, I'm going to pick a place, I don't know, South Jordan or, Draper or something like that? Why does this strategy work better where you did it right here?
First off, I know this neighborhood.
Okay.
I live close.
Yep.
So like, I'm not going to invest in a neighborhood that I don't know.
That's huge.
And even within this neighborhood, like there's streets you still don't want to invest in. I mean, if you're going to build something like this, but, and I want it close to my house. I don't want to be driving and commuting every day.
That goes back to lifestyle.
30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is. So yeah, I just say stick to neighborhoods and invest in neighborhoods that you know. And I realize that like there are no new houses in Salt Lake City for sale.
There you go. So you're reading, okay, this has always been a very, very in-demand, popular area. It's close to my house. People would kill for a brand new house if it was done right.
Yep.
And then it's just a matter of finding the right lot.
Correct.
And that's part of it. But then the execution is huge. I have borrowers that are going on 3 to 4 years on a flip
default
of like 2,500 to 3,000 square foot house.
Dang.
That's like a budget of 150,000. So execution is so important. So what was your strategy on executing on this one?
Executing like timeline, communicating with your subcontractors regularly, being clear on what needs to be done when. Of course, all projects have setbacks, delays, which I encounter.
You were also very involved in this one.
Yes,
because you're not doing other projects other than you're looking at stuff, but you're like, this is my kind of golden goose.
Yeah, I mean, some subcontractors did not like working for me because I was like here every day, like seeing what's going on.
Yeah,
what's the quality of the work? How much is getting done every single day? Like, I thought a day not being on the project is going to be another day delayed. So I was just like, I need to be here. Like whether I'm cleaning up or I'm like helping people move materials, I don't care what it was.
Yeah.
Or buying lunch, just like buying lunch for the workers here every day is important to me.
Because
like,
you have debt.
Gratitude, and it goes long.
You have that you
ways.
Can't time the market, but there's risk in having a project be delayed more than it should be, for many reasons. One, if there's not a lot of activity going on here, like it kind of like creates negative momentum. Maybe you start getting squatters coming in because the house isn't being worked on. The neighbors get upset, but everybody loves to see progress.
Yeah, progress, especially the banker. Like the banker is here auditing the house like once a week.
Yeah.
A couple times a month, taking pictures, making sure that there's progress being made. And it's like, okay, my note's due in like 6 more months and I'm only halfway done with the house.
Motivation.
It's just like, we need to get it done. Like, why aren't things getting done?
So let's maybe just summarize what were some unexpected challenges that you learned from, I guess. Let's start with that.
I would say like number one, the excavator came in. Like I had everything surveyed and staked out. The excavator came and he just started digging, right? And then I had the surveyor come back to like mark the stakes for the footings and the foundation. And he's like, "You're off." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So the excavator had to come back. And I think the excavator set me back probably 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Easily.
So it's that whole, what is it? Measure twice, cut once?
Yeah.
He cut once and
he should have had he should have put his own setbacks, stakes from the stakes that he was digging, because he lost, like his dig went like this. Like it wasn't even a straight line. So he had to come back 3 or 4 times. About 3 or 4 weeks later, finally finished that. The foundation work and foundation walls, that was smooth. The framing, I showed up. The framing like the guy who I hired is somebody who helped me finish the last project. He was a general contractor, but he knew how to frame. So I was like, "Hey, can you come help me frame?" He's like, yeah, no problem. So, he shows up, starts to work when he said he was, and things going well for 2 or 3 weeks. And then all the workers are like, "Hey, Troy, we haven't been paid." We haven't been paid. And I was like, "Well, what are you talking about? I gave him like 50%, more than enough money to like pay you guys. Like the contract's between me and him. Like you need to talk to him and get your money." And some of the guys didn't get their money and they just walked away. Which I felt really bad about. Some of them I contacted and like trued them up, "Here's some money. It's what I can afford." And then he so that was delayed for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And finally he hired another crew to come in and like finish the job. Inspector comes and it turns out that a nail is not just a nail. On the OSB on the outside of the house, they'd used the wrong size nail.
Oh, geez.
So I had to hire, this is after I fired the framer, I had to hire somebody to come in and like re-nail everything. So
lesson there is like, you may not be able to vet everyone perfectly, but the better you vet or get good referrals, it's people.
Oh yeah.
Real estate is people.
People. Yeah. Like
it's
I
people.
learned, so I have the excavator, the framer, and then, I hire somebody to finish the concrete floors. They did a terrible job. They wouldn't take accountability to come back and fix it. So I had to hire somebody else. That cost me like another $7,000. The exterior guy, he did a really good job, but like his 1 month turned into like 5 months to get it done because he had other projects that he was working on. So like on top of like, you need to vet out who you work with, but you also need to understand, like, ask them, what else are you working on?
That's a good point.
Like, do they have other conflicting jobs that might interfere with your timeline?
I think that a lot of time, if you're not disciplined like that, it's a big opportunity and a big problem. Like you just want the house framed. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily want to all of a sudden understand the whole framing industry. So I see this happen all the time, and I've been guilty of it myself, is like, "Oh, that guy probably can solve my problem. I'm just hoping he will. Just do it." And you don't ask enough questions, right? Because you just want the answer to be the one that causes you the least amount of problems. And a lot of times it then creates a bigger problem.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be perfect though, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's never going to be perfect.
And like, I'm running a business here and I want things to be as professional as I can and like hire good quality, honest people. And like my advice is making sure that those companies that you're working with and engaging with, hiring, that they are certified, they are licensed with Doppel, that they do have, you know, business license, ask for referrals. I mean, the guy who I hired to do my cabinetry initially was a referral of a friend, and he decided it was okay to just walk away with the down payment on the cabinets. So it's like, where am I going to get the money to finish the project? You know, I used the draw from the bank to pay for those cabinets.
Well, the comment you made though that I think is so important is you're not flipping houses. You're not a spec flipper or whatever you want to call it. This is your business. This is my business.
Yeah. I've migrated from a W-2 and like, this is
my profession.
This is it.
And I think those words are so powerful because then not only do you take yourself more serious, but then you require the people working with you,
correct,
to be professional. And
like take the time to like write structured contracts that favor you and benefit your counterpart.
Yeah. So that takes time and
yes.
prep.
Money.
But the end result means, so what are the things that went right?
Things went right. Like footings, foundation, exterior turned out great. The floors turned out nice. The cabinets are pretty amazing all throughout the property.
Well, and the real thing that turned out right is you didn't even have to list the house.
I didn't have to list the house. No. So the way that worked out is I was finishing work one day and some real estate agent knocked on the door. He's like, what's going on with the property? He's like, you had this listed in October and now it's not listed. Is it for sale? And I was like, it's not for sale. Not yet. He's like, well, when are you going to list it? I was like, tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's like, I have buyers. It's like, you do? It's like, come on in. It's like, can I take a look at it? So he toured the house and he's like, oh yeah, my buyers are going to want to buy it. Do you mind if I call them? Called the buyers. They're over here in like 20 minutes. Showed up with the family and they're like, we love it. We want to buy it. And they're like, all right.
That's awesome.
That's it.
So start to finish, you're going to close on this next week. Start to finish, you're a year and 4 months?
Yep.
Okay, year and 4 months. And then you don't need to disclose everything. But basically you took a property that at the time in its as-is condition was worth 400, 500?
I paid $467
to something that's basically just a hair under $2 million.
Correct. And I'd say like land costs, if you take, you know, the purchase price of the house, the demolition, all the permits, architect fees, I mean, you're starting at $550,000.
But isn't that so cool?
But then you have construction costs on top.
Well, absolutely.
Right?
But by you executing your plan, you took something that was worth, say, $500,000 to, in a very short period of time, being worth $2 million. I mean, you know, we're rounding a little bit. $2 million.
Is that forced depreciation?
That is forced depreciation. The market in the last 2 years has, if anything, dropped a little bit.
Right.
Like, because we've been in this high interest rate environment. So to kind of summarize, because we were talking about this before we started filming, the market didn't really change. It's not like we're in 2000 COVID times when this, who knows, this probably could have sold for $7 million. I mean, it was just Looney Tunes, right? Mm-hmm. Like it was crazy because people could buy anything. But you started with the vision of what it could be. Mm-hmm. The logic of having the value add with the studio above the garage, you know, the layout of what people want in this neighborhood, big rooms, big entertaining spaces, mm-hmm. and then you executed on it.
Yep. And
you were rewarded in what probably can be considered a very challenging time to sell in the luxury price point because mm-hmm. interest rates are at 7. The market hasn't really naturally appreciated that much. But what insulated you from having success on this one, just to summarize?
I think the insulation is the neighborhood.
The neighborhood.
The neighborhood. The neighborhood. I mean, you're close to downtown, elementaries, parks, cafes, restaurants.
You're in an in-demand
it's a desirable place to live.
with people that generally have higher than average incomes.
Yep. And you know, people who may work downtown, they don't want to commute far. They want to maintain like a quality of lifestyle.
Now, and then the real magic in between was just your execution, which you were here pretty much every day. So this project, you managing it would, like you said, and this was your strategic purpose, was you could not have been doing the same level of quality control and management if you were doing 4 of these probably.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, my if there's a nugget you take away from this episode is that just focus on one quality project. And I think that you could do just as, if not better, and save yourself a lot of stress rather than like flipping, 4 or 5, 10 houses at a time. But like, you might have to do that because it's hard to find quality pieces of property in downtown.
What do you see the future for you then? And then we'll wrap up, because the experiences that you've learned from here, I think you probably could do 2 or 3 of these at the same time, because you've learned so much and you'll be able to leverage other people a little bit better because of what you've learned from here. But you had to be hands-on to kind of learn it the way you need to learn it for your process and system. So where's Troy going next? In 5 years, if we were to have this follow-up interview in 5 years, what do you think you would summarize for the next 5 years, if we were looking back on those 5 years, like what kind of deals do you think you're doing?
I enjoy building.
Okay.
I enjoy like designing. I enjoy the challenge that brings. So I can see myself in like 2 to 3 years or 5 years is that I want to continue to tear down and rebuild in nice neighborhoods, desirable streets, because I think this formula works.
And what I've learned,
and I think I can do, like you said, you seeing me doing 2 to 3 a year. I mean, I thought about that as like, if I could stagger it, like, 6 months, every 6 months I'm finishing.
Maybe bring your framing crew
something out. Yeah, I can continue to like rotate.
You just keep rotating.
Keep people working. And that's another thing. It's like, it was sad for me to see like, people that I hired on the project, it's like they're scraping by, and it's like, I want to provide them like consistent work and income,
because they're good at what they do.
They're really
good at what it benefits you and it benefits them, because man, this world of contracting, just like you maybe got ripped off by a couple people, the flip side happens probably more so. And that's why they're ripping you off, is because they've been ripped off by contractors that don't pay them after they've done the work. And so once you can find a reliable team and you're all good to each other, man, that's just a recipe for success on the next one. It won't be as challenging as this one was.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just about me. Like I want to help other people, providing them work and, income.
I love it. So, I guess there's so many takeaways, but I think after talking to you and knowing you for a while, be very clear about what you want, not just in your profession, but also in life. Your family's important. Experiences with them are important. That's going to trump more complexities in work. Because you want to keep that clear. Learning from how you've done things in the past to optimize what works best for you, which now you've kind of settled in on this model. And you're going to be greatly rewarded next week for executing on that. But also wanting to help other people, that is mutually beneficial and caring. I mean, and that's where it goes back, like real estate is about people. It's not just about the people that you network to help find deals, the people that you help bring in to help complete the deals. And all that's going to do is create, who knows, your electrician's going to be like, Troy, dude, my neighbor, do you want this one? Because I wouldn't know what to do with it. That's the beautiful thing about treating people right.
Yeah. Networking and just always, maintaining a positive attitude and just treating people the way that you want to be treated. It's just like every day, showing up on site is like always like being respectful to those who are actually like working for you and doing something for you. And it's like, it goes a long ways.
And then
respect.
The value you create for yourself and respect for yourself transfers over to the other people. And then ultimately you end up doing really cool projects that also make a little bit of money. Awesome. Thanks, Troy.
Yes. Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Dude, that was great.